we've arrived at the Goldstream Distillery and just waiting for John, and then we're going to go right on in and get a nice little tour.
Hello.
Hey. So we're here. I'm going to fall off my feet. I don't know what's going on here. We're here at the Goldstream Distilleries, and we're going to get a lovely tour from Darcy and Kathleen.
Hello.
And John's going to do the tour, so I'm going to go behind the camera, which is going to be great. All right. So, without further ado,
for me.
it's going to be great.
Yes, here with Darcy and Kathleen. First of all, we should probably say where here is. Goldstream Distilleries is actually, I guess we're part of Whippletree Junction, aren't we?
Yeah, that's correct. We're located on Whippletree Junction, just off the Trans-Canada Highway south of Duncan.
Yeah. So Whippletree Junction is, if you're coming north from Victoria up towards Duncan, it's on the right just before you go down the hill and around the corner. You guys are kind of tucked away in behind the weed store here, so a bit of a logical progression maybe. So before we do the tour, why don't you just show them the setting, seeing as the sun has actually come out. They actually do have a patio out here where in the summertime,
Oh, that would be fun.
you can come and enjoy some cocktails. I mean, it's not set up right now, but as you can see, look, there's even a rainbow coming out.
Where's the rainbow? There it is. Somewhere over the rainbow.
Freaking brilliant.
Nice.
So, come on back in.
Yeah. So demanding.
I know, right? Stinking talent. So how long have you guys been in operation doing this?
So we're in our completed our third year, so in our fourth year now.
Okay.
We've been at the Whippletree Junction for just about 3 years, and just took over this showroom space in the patio area in April of this year.
Oh, nice.
So we started in the 2 rooms out back, which you're going to see, and that was sort of, our production area and that, and we had our eye on this portion of the building, and it became available to us. So,
Beautiful.
So we're just over 3 years old now, and getting ready to take next steps.
Nice. I love how you've done it up. I mean, check these, the old Edison lights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So what are the next steps?
So what we've done is both Kathleen and I come from retail and management backgrounds, and we both got our commerce degree at Royal Roads, and so have a bit of a we have the theoretical experience when it comes to business, and so what we decided to do is start this distillery, bootstrap it along the way to see if we could get to proof of concept. Could we get some traction in the market? Could we get product out there? And of course, just learn a boatload along the way.
Yeah.
And we're getting to that point now. So we're looking to next year speak to some fundraisers to raise some capital to look at a bigger place, bigger equipment, and branch out into a couple of new product lines.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's but we're pragmatic, and it's slow and steady. We're not the gung ho, right out the shotgun. It's pretty measured, and but that's just the nature of who we are as people. So
And how's it been going so far? So far, so good.
so far so good. It could
Always be better.
always be busier. Just from a sanity point of view, waiting for things to happen, right? Just. Yeah, it can drive you a little batty, but the thing is that the growth is there. It is apparent, and it is slow and steady, but it definitely is steady and happening,
Awesome.
right? So
Awesome.
so it's that hang in there. You got to put your time in. You got to hang in long enough, and it will happen. So we've done. We released our vodka. That was our flagship product 3 years ago, and it's for logical reasons in that it's the straightest path to market. You don't need to age it. It's it's what comes out of every distillation.
Yeah.
And then we brought out the gin a year later.
The vodka got picked up by BC liquor stores, which
Yep.
is a huge win. So now it's
Yeah,
all over
no
the
kidding.
province.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and funny story about that was we just assumed, because ignorance is bliss, that because we have a commercial license.
I've made a whole career of it.
Yeah, right. But we just assume that because we have a commercial license and therefore everything that we do is in business with the LDB, that they would pick up our product.
Yeah.
So I called a few times, like, hey, I haven't seen a PO
Yeah.
You know, can we get this thing happening? You know, we're starting to produce stuff. And so they opened up the SKU and gave us a small order, but only for me to find out, like, and this was 6 months ago or so, that's not the way it works at all. And the fact that they've picked up our vodka, they picked up our original whiskey, a small bottle, and then they picked up our big bottle,
Yeah.
it's unheard of. And one of the fellas that I was speaking with, his distillery, they just had their first SKU picked up in 10 years. And he knows guys that are 12 years and still don't have their first SKU with the LDB. So, you know, a little bit of the right place, right time, line in the water,
Yeah.
we got lucky.
Great product.
You know, so
Sorry, what is this SKU?
a stock keeping unit.
Ah.
So for the LDB, every product that we sell is registered with them. It's on their books.
Mm-hmm.
But until they decide to bring you in and put you on their stores list, you know, you're not, and that's the holy grail, is to get over onto
Yeah.
the stores list.
So if I was to go on to BC Liquor Distribution or whatever it is
Yep.
website,
Yep.
we would find your product.
That's right. You type in Goldstream on the BCLS website, and the
Okay.
vodka and whiskey come up.
And it'll even tell you what stores you can go to
Who's sitting on what
check their
inventory.
stock, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the next thing for us is to go back. We launched the gin. COVID broke, literally weeks, so we stopped.
Yeah.
Then our whiskey was ready. We were doing sanitizer production like everybody else was.
Yeah.
But then the whiskey was ready at the end of summer, and COVID was slowing down. Sanitizer was slowing down, but the whiskey investment was such that it was like, okay, well, Christmas is coming, and you know we want to make this thing happen. So we focused on the whiskey, and that's great. And the last year and a bit's been awesome. But gin just totally stalled. Right, and fine, yeah, and you know, but it's interesting because again, you've got to learn, and the thing is that when you've got a gin that looks like everyone else's, nothing's jumping out at you, nothing's saying why should I buy this, what's going to entice me. If it isn't the price, and if it isn't pretty packaging, there's got to be something more there, right?
So is this not the original packaging? Because this is pretty sleek. It is.
So,
That's original packaging.
That was the original packaging, but
I like it. I mean, it's crisp and clean. I mean,
and
it's,
I know, man, we did too.
yeah.
You put that on a shelf,
Uh-huh.
and it disappears. Like I like to go into new stores when they bring in our product and, you know, buy the first bottle or first one of the first bottles, right? But you just, you know,
Yeah.
and 8 minutes standing in front of an 8-foot section, and I couldn't find my own product.
Not because it had sold out.
Oh no, it was there.
Oh, down at the bottom.
Well, it was on the second shelf, but it just, like, if it's black behind this, this turns black. You can't see anything, right?
I see, yeah.
And so it was that, and because of the nature of the beast, in that when somebody goes to the liquor store, they're going to start looking for Goldstream.
Yeah.
But if they can't find Goldstream and they got to get to the dog in the car or the whatever, they're grabbing the next
they're grabbing.
thing, even though we were just over there. So it was that that realization that we're easily interchangeable, and so we needed something that's going to jump out a little bit more and give us some more shelf presence. Because yeah, super clean, super slick, but if people can't find it on the shelf, then we're gonna lose more sales than I think we would have gained from it.
Yeah.
So bring
It's
us
the
up.
name that labels.
Yeah, I know, it's great. And bring us up to the drinks. Let's talk about the alcohol here.
Yeah. So as far as our drink menu go, do you want to talk to this? I mean, I'll hog the spotlight if you let me. So. Okay.
I've got one of those.
So what we did was, to come up with a couple of interesting drinks. So the top two there, the Saska Gin. I spoke with the people that own the Saskatoon Berry Farm down on Fisher Road,
I didn't even know there was one.
back on Cobble Hill,
Nice.
and went in and spoke with them, and so thinking about what we could do to differentiate our gin.
Yeah.
Well, let's go get some berries. Let's play. And they have juice in that, so we got some Saskatoon berries and some juice, and came up with the Saska Gin,
Yeah.
which is just gin, a little bit of soda, and some Saskatoon berry juice and berries. And then the Goldstream was actually Mom Miller's Pub down in Langford. They picked it up, and then they asked if they could feature us as a monthly drink special, and they came up with that recipe, and it's
Delicious.
It's kind of a variation on a mojito.
yeah, absolute, and super refreshing, just like a mojito.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And then a little bit of the more standards, whiskey lemonade,
Yeah.
the Juicy Junction, which is watermelon juice, gin and soda.
That
and then,
sounds cool.
yeah, it's a really good one, and watermelon juice can be a little bit tricky to track down, but
How do you juice a watermelon?
It's almost how do you not juice a watermelon?
Oh,
if you
okay.
get a good one.
I think you should make these, John.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I could.
Yeah. We're
I
gonna.
know how now.
Yeah, you
So,
do.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do. Maybe one of our episodes we'll make
Yes.
3 of those.
Yeah.
And see if I can do it without screwing it up.
So for funsies, we put some Saskatoon berries in the
Oh,
bottle of gin.
neat. So it's Saskatoon berry infused gin.
that's right. So what happened was I went and talked to the lady,
Yeah.
and I said, well, this is that, and then came back and like, okay, well, what are some ideas? What can we do? Now, so when you put your botanicals through the distillation process,
Yeah.
it strips color. It's like general. I mean, if you're doing it right, you're stripping out color, flavor, a lot of colors, leaving essential oils back behind
Yeah.
flavors.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so thinking about that, I thought, well, you know what we could do is just infuse the berries. Let's just see what that does, right? And so after about a week, the bottom inch of the bottle is this crazy, like, purple fuchsia color. I mean, it won't stay like that because it's going to jostle
Oh, there
around
you
and,
go.
Before you shake
and
it.
that.
Look at that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it pulls, obviously, some colors and some flavors. And so I mixed up a bunch of bottles, right? And then we were having customers come in, and if somebody bought a bottle of gin, I would run in the back and grab one of the experiment bottles and say, what do you think of this? Does
Yeah.
this freak you out with the berries? We kind of think like the tequila worm mentality, but is this, we're putting real berries in, so we rinse them in that, but it's
Yeah.
the nature of the beast, and it was, yeah, no, that's no problem. Can I buy that one?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's open because I put the berries in. Well, yeah, but I want to leave with that one. Well, okay,
Yeah.
you're the customer. You are right. And yeah, so that happened like a half a dozen times, and it was like,
And so you just started.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna brand the gin with our new label, new bottle, new look,
Yeah.
and the berries in the bottom, and see if that gets some traction. But
Oh, is that your new label?
New label.
I
Oh,
can't
very
think of
nice.
Looks like it's
ever
siblings.
seeing a Saskatoon
see
berry infused anything.
yeah,
Gin.
yeah, and the flavor is really interesting because they're actually more closely related to apples than they are to blueberries. So the flavor isn't super sweet. Like there's a nice tartness,
Yeah.
they're like almost a green apple.
Have you ever tried Saskatoon berries?
No.
It's kind of, I remember, like I grew up in Alberta,
Okay.
and my parents and I would go out on country roads, and it's just Saskatoon berries for miles. And my mom would make like jam or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
she did. So I mean, to me, it's kind of like a back to the childhood thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you to move because the lovely background you got.
No.
There's nobody in there, so I mean, it could be worse. But
Funny. Oh, that's awesome.
very cool. How did you get? Why distilling? How did you get into the liquor game?
Yeah, so in my early 20s, I worked at a brew on premise where they made all their beer from scratch.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got converted to the craft beer world.
Yeah.
And once my eyes were open to the whole grain brewing process, it was like, okay, I had effectively a nano brewery at my house for the last 20 years, right? Like I was doing 200-liter batches, walk-in cooler, automated heating systems, and all of that, all from scratch, whole leaf hop, live yeast. And that was a great run, and I even started importing kegs and things like that for the homebrew market. But I've always felt like it had already been done. Between Matt Phillips, who's probably the pioneer, Lighthouse, Hoyne, all those guys, like that had been done, but yet the distillery world hadn't really been breached at that point, and so it was like, well, I know beer, and I know I could do beer, but I also know how big that beer world needs to be to even just get your foot in the door. Whereas this was a little bit more comfortable in that we could start small, we could build it up, and then, you know, take that next step. So that was the reason, you know, a background in beer, familiarity with the processes, but let's get out of the comfort zone and go into something that you know, I don't know, and then that gives me lots to learn about.
So what's in these here? I'm just
Yeah. So what's in these
Yeah.
is these are our 100% rye barrels that we pulled out of Kentucky. I don't know if you have to delete the name, but I can show you who they're from originally. But they have a contract that you're not allowed to advertise that it's their barrels.
Yeah,
Fine.
no, we want that.
But yeah, no. So so this is our 100% rye barreled earlier this year. So it'll be ready in 2024.
So have these barrels been used by the former owner for their product?
Yeah, once before. So the way that the bourbon and whiskey industry in Tennessee and Kentucky works is that they are only allowed to use their barrels once, and the reason is that keeps the barrel makers in business,
Yeah.
right? And you know, whether they're aging them from 3 years to 20 years or whichever, it's pretty easy to incorporate the cost of a $200 barrel into that product. So it makes sense. But the thing is that they're a one and done. In the rest of the world, you can reuse these barrels. Yeah, and I mean, there's so much that I've learned, so I assume that most people don't know like some of the things that I've learned. So for example, that your colors and flavors effectively come from the wood.
Yeah.
You know, the grain does play a part, but your colors and flavors really do come from the wood. So the barrels on the inside are charred, and then so burnt to varying degrees to give, you know, increase the level of smoky flavor and things like that. So, you know, you can definitely use them 2 or 3 times, and then what they'll do is pop the lids off, scorch them again, and then refill them and go.
So this is your rye. What differentiates the rye from the Canadian whiskey?
So what differentiates it? So the technicality is that your Canadian whiskey, if you're going to call it a rye, has to contain 51% rye.
Okay.
After that, it doesn't matter. A Canadian whiskey can contain anything. It just needs to be aged in small wood for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and even with the rye designation, it's really like there's a lot of things that are questionable, gray areas. Let's say gray areas.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's the gray area there. So the thing is that we can do the rye in these barrels and effectively double with other product to increase if that's what we want to do. So it just depends on how the flavor profiles come out.
Oh, yeah.
When they're all done, they're all done to varying degrees of concentration. So some of them are as low as like 52%. Some of them are as high as like 68. Just a few at the higher levels, but and that was because the way that the excise tax used to work was on a per barrel basis. So the higher the concentration, the more 40% bottles they could make on the other side, but the government was just collecting the tax based on the barrel that was coming in.
I remember reading that.
Yeah,
That's such a cool idea.
but then you start reading, and so you read and you go, okay, well, this is what it is, 70 to 75%. But then you find out that that's only to avoid excise tax.
Yeah.
So then you got to dig in a little bit more, and you find out the guys that are going, well, no, hold on, at 50 to 54, you actually get a nicer extraction, a mellower, whichever, and it's like,
So it's a trade-off.
okay, yeah, so,
Yeah.
well, we don't, I mean, the tax is the tax now, and it's based on your liters of absolute, so.
I know.
So it doesn't matter. So we went with varying levels, tending to be in the lower 50s, just because that seems like that'll be the good thing to do.
Yeah.
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 Can you take us for a little tour?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Go ahead, John.
So the thing about our distillery is we're at about 1,300 square feet.
Okay.
And so everything effectively has to be on wheels or portable. You can kill that.
Okay, I'm
So
just gonna go.
what you're seeing right here, right now, is we're mixing up a batch of vodka, and so this is just part of our filtration process. We like to clean it up and let it run through the filters for half an hour or so.
Yeah.
That's a lot of vodka. How about it, John?
Yeah, but it's it's one of those things like working at the chocolate factory, right? Eat as much as you want the first 2 weeks, and after that, it's like, yeah, no thanks. I'll pick up a beer on the way home.
Yeah, go home and have a ginger ale or something.
But basically, being in such a small footprint, everything needs to be on wheels or pallets and mobile. We reconfigure according to what we're doing. So if it's distilling, we'll set it up one way. We're getting ready to package, so we'll set it up another way. And this is one of the picnic tables. We usually have 4 that are outside, but we took 3 of them home for the winter. And anything that stays outside tends to grow legs and walk away. So.
Can imagine. What's in these big barrels?
So these are mixing and blending tanks, and this is actually this is for one of our upcoming experiments, which is we're gonna venture into the canned ready to drink segment. Cool. So again, having a commercial license, right now only commercial licensees are allowed to produce the ready to drink beverages. Breweries and craft distilleries can't.
Okay.
So what we're doing, and again, because of the way that we're playing and going to market, is this is a tank that will do roughly 1 skid of a product. We're going to do up a couple of versions, send them out there, try it out, get some feedback, and
Is it going to be one of the drinks on the list then?
I don't. Well, again, we've got to get the equipment ready to go,
Okay.
and then we're going to start playing with that, because there's logistics to all of and especially.
Was there one that you saw that you think should be again?
I'll let you know when I'm next.
Yeah.
Well, and please do give us the feedback, because that we try and let that be the driving, the driving force there. But yeah, we can hire outside canners, mobile canners, to come in and do that. But their equipment requires certain certain cleaning procedures and things like that. So I don't want to be careful with the juices and anything that might gum up their sort of system. But if the proof of concept works out and fundraising next year, then the canned beverage line in a bigger space with a canning machine and all of that. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that we're doing. And then another thing is over in here is our storage area. So we've got more barrels of product. We've got more rye. We've got 5 bourbon barrels. So that's a corn base that we put into those, and they'll be ready to go in at the same time as the other 3 years. And then just straight whiskey barrels, rye barrels, but with corn spirits in them. So that'll just be a regular whiskey.
So are you moving into bourbon then, like corn mash? Or?
So bourbon can only come from
It's one of those
Tennessee or
So what would you call it if you made it here?
Bourbon style.
Bourbon style whiskey.
Yeah, or you come up with another sort of trade name and
it's like you can only make Scotch in Scotland. Other than that, it's single malt.
Yeah, that's right. That's where Macaloney's been getting the publicity from the lawsuit that the Scotch industry is.
That's right.
launched.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So yeah, you gotta dance around those rules a little bit and stuff, but yeah. And then these the bigger barrels that you see here are actually French barrels that had I always forget the name of the wine that was in them. It's not a sherry and it's not a port. But anyhow, they were they've already been through the whiskey aging process once.
Okay.
The distillery we got them from is down in that area where they can only use the barrels one time.
Yeah.
And the whiskey that they use to use these barrels to finish, which means like it could literally just get poured in and poured out.
Yeah.
But they sold those bottles for $1,000 US.
Oh.
Only available at duty-free stores. And I mean, they came in like an Italian crystal decanter and all of that. But when we got those barrels, man, you take the bung out and have it, and it's like the sweetest rye smell you ever did.
So is that going to give you a different flavor profile then, being originated as a wine barrel?
It's going to be interesting. Anything that comes out of those barrels is only ever going to be able to be a limited run because it's going to be so unique.
So it'll be bottled differently, will it?
We're gonna specifically do that as special releases. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, she's holding a bottle here.
Yeah.
What's
And so-
this?
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
This is our
Waiting on
latest.
labels. This is Roulegin, so rhubarb, lemon, ginger liqueur.
Yum.
Oh,
Yum.
cool.
So it's a 25% ABV,
Yeah.
and it's like you could pour it over ice or just give it a splash of soda, and it's sweet and refreshing and like so dangerous by the pool.
No kidding.
You can't just open that up and give us a little.
We've
Yeah.
got the labels designed, and now we're just waiting for them to come from the printers.
Right.
Nice.
So ABV, by the way, guys, is alcohol by volume.
Correct.
Right.
And where your standard spirits are 40%, this will be a 25%.
Oh, very
Yeah.
nice.
So it'll screw you up a little slower.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can imagine.
Yeah. Speaking of flavor profiles, what do you use? So your gin. I've not tried your gin.
Okay.
You're
gonna go?
this way?
Yeah, let's go this way.
They're being polite and letting me go first, but of course I have the camera, people.
What do you put in your gin? Like, is it more like a London dry style, or
Well,
more
right over here.
stupid right up?
No. So from that little dot, the black dots that you see around the flavor wheel, those are the botanicals that we use in our standard gin, sans the Saskatoon berries, which are becoming a part of it, and I don't think on the wheel. So yeah, to your question, London dry or a soft gin. So what we did is a hybrid method, in that a dry gin, the botanicals go in before distillation. A soft gin, the botanicals are after distillation.
Okay.
So an example of a soft would be a Bombay Sapphire.
Yeah.
Right? And so what we did was we put about a third of the botanicals go into soak for 24 to 48 hours beforehand.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the botanicals hit the gin basket, and it gives us kind of the best of both worlds.
Okay.
So we found that it really softened up the juniper, that medicinal flavor.
Yeah.
Like it's softened it, so it's not so obvious.
And this is
That's it. Yeah.
So John's doing a tasting.
oh, that's delicious.
Is it?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
And that's
Do you want me to hold the camera?
No, I think they can hear my reaction. You don't need to see me.
the secret to like anything, right?
You
It's just
can
getting
sip
people
this.
to try it, right? That's the
You can honestly just sip this.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
And if you've ever watched, you'll know that I don't like much. This is delicious.
Oh, thank you. One of our favorite stories. Like we try to make. So the thing when I was making beer was it had to be smooth, it had to be drinkable,
Yeah.
and a session beer.
Wow.
So try and keep the flavors mellow and all of that. So and we try and do that with everything that we make. But probably the biggest compliment, one of the biggest that we've ever gotten, was from a store manager who I had to go and just finish heat shrinking some of our wraps because
Yeah.
they didn't take for whatever reason. And she asked me, well, what do you put in your vodka? Which is like a really weird thing, but no, we don't
Generally
put anything.
Put anything in. Yeah.
And she and I'm like, well, nothing. We do filtration and we do this and that. And she goes, well, I hate vodka. Like, okay, well, sorry. I mean, that's just people's experience. Then she goes, but I have this friend who will only drink your stuff.
I've heard.
And
So
then-
I've never tried yours. I've heard it's invisible.
Yes. Yes. And so she goes, my friend like twists my arm, makes me try it, and now I have to tell people I hate vodka unless you've got Goldstream, in which case I'll take some with one piece of ice. And you're like, wow. She was emphatic that she did not like vodka until she tried ours. So, I mean, if that isn't a stamp of approval, right?
No kidding.
So,
Oh, that's
it's,
amazing.
Back to the gin for a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give this a little sniff. These
Okay.
are the spent botanicals. At the end of the process, they'll dry it out.
Okay.
Smells like a bakery.
Oh.
That's what it smells like when it's gin day.
You know what? It should be like a scratch and sniff.
You
Thing, though.
really should.
Well,
You love gin day. I bet.
one of the winter projects
Oh, man,
is
that's-
we've saved up a bunch of the spent botanicals, but also we're some other things to mix candles and see if that would work and see if that kicks off any
I
of the
love
aroma,
this.
because that'd be kind of
This
kitschy,
is
right?
awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's amazing.
This is so good. I can't get over how nice that is.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, no, we're going to definitely have to do some drinks with this.
Yes.
I mean, this is great. I'm just showing a little bit of the display
Yeah.
they've got going on here and all the goodies.
And they have merch.
yeah.
Check
Yes.
out the merch.
Oh, they've got the merch. The merch. You got the little lingo down now,
Look
John.
at that.
It's like-
No, look
I
at-
can only see your head.
Yeah, no, go down and look at.
Oh, I see.
The plaid.
There's a plaid shirt with a.
Oh, nice.
How did? Why Goldstream?
Well, we actually live in Goldstream Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we got a place there on the estuary, and we actually bought this from people that had started it.
Oh, okay.
But so they registered the name in April.
Yeah.
She was from Victoria and always liked Goldstream.
Yeah.
Her husband was getting laid off from a telecom industry in Powell River, and so they were from Campbell River,
Yeah.
and so that they started it, registered it, did the paperwork effectively.
Yeah.
And then, so his job was done, and they paid him a huge payout, and then turned around and said, "We don't have anybody doing our work in Powell River. How about we hire you as a private contractor, and we'll pay you twice as much as we were paying you before."
Yeah.
So
What distillery?
yeah, well, so that was it. So then they quickly put it up for sale,
Yeah.
and I guess they had a number of tire kickers through and all the rest of it. But once we saw it, the name Goldstream, we live in Goldstream Park.
Oh,
They hadn't done anything, hadn't registered.
No products have been made.
Nothing had ever been made.
It's
Nothing
just
had ever
an
been
idea,
hooked up.
basically.
Yeah. And so we were like, yeah, serendipity right here. And so we picked up the baton and started the process, leased this place right away. Then moving the license took like 8 months because of the cannabis was legalized, and we were in amongst those applications and
It was a
stuff. So,
rush, yeah.
so yeah, but yeah, so that's where the name comes from, and how we got started. And
You guys are like our neighbors.
oh
we
yeah,
just we just live
we're
on
just
Aspen.
We're just up from the park. Yeah,
Aspen Road.
Aspen
You probably
Oh,
drive
get
by
out
it
of
every day.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been there?
26
That-
years, I think. A long time.
Before I bought the house that we're in now, I looked at a big piece of property on Aspen Road that had multiple houses on
Yeah.
it, but it used to have like a I don't know if it was landfill's not the right word, but like a soil dump or something like that.
Yeah,
which,
yeah, I
which
know
made it a
exactly.
little bit weird, and we were like, yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
we know.
It's still weird, eh? Yeah.
Still filming here.
Oh, you can edit that out, right?
Nope.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
just
So we're
up
just
the
down
road.
the street from that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and I
fantastic.
mean, really, that's what So I'm in. What were we doing? We were doing a Sazerac or an old fashioned.
It was old fashioned. I
Yeah,
thought.
and
Yeah.
I was looking for some rye or Canadian or something to do that with. But we try and do local stuff.
Yeah.
That's what caught my eye. It was Goldstream. Oh, hey, this is like from home. Sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So that's how we heard about it first.
Well, we appreciated it. Yeah, but it's so cool to see you know, when your product gets picked up and somebody's talking about it and that, it's like, well, do you know them? Do you know them? Like, well, they're not family. What's
Yeah,
going
no,
on?
we just bought the stuff. So.
We're avid drinkers, put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so this was great, right?
Yes, thank you so much for. I mean, so they came in on Sunday, folks. They're not even open on Sunday. Did you guys drive all the way up from Goldstream for this?
Well, yeah, but hey, I mean, we're a new
Thank you
yeah
so
we're a
much.
new company, and because we're closed for regular hours, if somebody ever wants to come and do the tour and have a chat, reach out, get in touch, and I'm sure I can make time to be here.
You hear that, folks?
Because that's what we do.
That's brilliant. And I'm looking forward to coming and sitting on your patio.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
we got a
amazing.
nice shade that we string up over it and that, and
Very
and,
cool.
yeah, get some good evening or afternoon sun.
Yeah.
Great. All right.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
No problem, John.
And we got to get some of this gin before we.
We will do that. All right. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.